Hey guys, was geht up? And today we're going to talk about how to expose an image correctly and how to shoot in manual. Let's just forget about photography for a moment. Everything we need for now is a cup and a bottle of water. How much water flows into the cup depends on two factors. The first one is the quantity, how much water is getting into the cup at once. Secondly, there's the duration, meaning the time water is flowing into the container. With a large amount of water, it will obviously take less time to fill it than with a small amount flowing into the cup. But what does this have to do with photography? Just imagine that the full cup represents a correctly exposed image. The water, on the other hand, is equivalent to the light that falls onto your camera sensor. If the cup is empty, your image will be underexposed, but as it gradually fills up, your image will lighten up as well. Once your cup is full, the image will have proper exposure. But watch out! If you pour too much light into it, the cup will overflow and your image will be overexposed. The time it took to fill the cup is our exposure time or shutter speed. How much water is getting into the cup is regulated by the aperture. But isn't something missing? Of course, the third factor, the ISO. As you may realize, no matter how we adjust aperture and shutter speed, we will always end up with the same amount of water to fill up the cup or the same amount of light to expose the image correctly. This changes if we pay attention to the ISO. The ISO basically defines how much light your camera sensor needs until your image is correctly exposed, or in this example, how much water fits into the cup. The only way to fill up a glass with less water is to change the size of the glass, right? In our example, a small cup matches the high ISO as we will need less light for the sensor. But how do we apply all these things while taking actual photos? Now, we have learned that the aperture, the shutter speed and the ISO value influence the brightness of your image. In order to control these three factors, you have to put your camera into manual. Let me give you an example. For this landscape, we will set the aperture to f10. As shutter speed, we will use a 640th of a second. That maybe sounds a little bit weird to you now, but it's a completely normal shutter speed in photography. The ISO will stay at 100 for now. As you can see, the image is a little bit dark right now. Basically, you can now choose which one of the three factors you want to change in order to brighten up the image. If you reduce the aperture to f8, more light will fall into the lens, onto the sensor, and the image will brighten up. But you could also lengthen the shutter speed to the 320th of a second, so that the light will have more time to fall onto the sensor. Lastly, you could just change the sensor sensitivity by changing the ISO to 320. Now the sensor will need less light to be exposed properly. But how can we possibly decide which of those factors we want to change and where are the difference? Well, aperture, shutter speed and ISO can influence your image in other ways as well. Good news for you, I created some more high value videos for you guys and I will upload them completely for free on this YouTube channel during the next week, and I also produced some more exciting videos for you. So definitely consider to hit that subscribe button and then I will see you next time.